upon the sea, raised the dead.
Many people, they will pick a day and
Reign in majesty, mighty God.
and they will just cancel it. Something we have
Everything written about you is great. You are great, yes, you are.
We give it unto you this morning. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for our lives individually. Thank you for our homes, oh Lord. Thank you for our jobs, oh Lord. Thank you for what you still want to do, oh Lord. Thank you for what you are prepared to do for us. That thing that the eyes have not seen. That thing that has not come to the heart of man. That thing that the ears have not heard. We bless your name. We give it unto you this morning. Our shame remover, our lifter, our helper, our provider, our rock, the one who was, the one who is, the one who will be forever, our Savior, our all in all, Alpha, Omega, beginning, the ending. Baba, we give it to you. We thank you, the one who is bigger than the biggest. You are higher than the highest. We lift you high this morning. You are awesome, God. Who can we compare you with, O Lord? You are so great that you sit in heaven. You make the hands your footstool. There is nothing you cannot do. When you say to open, nobody can close. When you close, nobody can open. When you say to lift up, nobody can bring down. When you want to change our story, nobody can say no. How great are you? Daddy, we thank you this morning. In all the languages we understand, we say thank you. Thank you, our Redeemer. In Jesus' mighty name, we have given thanks. You want to pray this one prayer for yourself. Leaving this podium now. This is the prayer session. You have praised him. When you praise God, you will draw his hand down. And he will just give you an open check and say, ask what you want to ask. And he will give to you. And I want us to read from the book of Haggai 2, 8 and 9. The Bible says, the silver is mine, and the gold is mine, said the Lord of hosts. The glory of this latter house shall be greater than of the former, says the Lord of hosts. And in this place will I give peace, says the Lord of hosts. You want to tell God, this is the second half of the year. You want to ask, our God is the King of glory. He said the glory of the latter will be greater than the former. I don't know what God has done for you the first half of this year. But God is telling you this morning that He wants to do the greater thing. Even in this second half of the year. I want you to turn into prayer and say, Lord, I stand upon the promise of your word this morning. You say you exalt your word more than your name. Because your word have said this, Lord, I believe it. Let that glory that you want to reveal in my life in this second half of the year be greater than the first 6 of this month. As you understand that prayer, you can pray it. Maybe you got a job of $30 this first 6, the first half of this year. God is telling you that what He wants to do in this second half is going to be greater. Maybe God has, done something for you in this first half of the year. He said He still wants to do something that is greater. I want you to stand upon the word of God. There is a corporate anointing in this place this morning because we have exalted His name. I want you to just tell God and remind Him of His word and say, Lord, let the glory that you want to reveal in this second half of the year, let it be greater than the first 6 months of this year, oh Lord, according to your word, in the mighty name of Jesus. In silver, in gold, in blessing, in promotion, in lifting, just begin to say it, Lord. Let it be greater than the first half of this year, oh Lord, in the name of Jesus. As I begin this month, oh Lord, as I begin this second half of the year, in the name of Jesus, let it be greater, oh Lord. Let all eyes see, in the name of Jesus. Let it be seen, oh Lord, by all men. I join my faith with the faith of everyone in this sanctuary this morning. And based on your word this morning, that glory, oh Lord, that you want to reveal in this half of the year, let it be greater than the first half, oh Lord, in the name of Jesus. And I will share my testimony. Thank you, Father. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Finally, you want to pray for yourself. That Father, this morning meets me at the point of my need. I don't want to leave you empty-handed. If you want to bless a soul, let it be my soul this morning. Even as the word will be coming forth, in all the aspects of this service, oh Lord, bless me. You want to personalize that prayer to yourself. If you are here to look at the newest couple, you are on your own. I'm here to receive from the Lord. I want you to tell God that, Father, this morning, bless me here. Even in this place, oh Lord. Meet me at the point of my need, oh Lord. So that by the time I will leave here, I will have that assurance that I have been blessed already. In the mighty name of Jesus. In your word, meet me at the point of my need. Speak my word. Speak my word in the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Speak my own word, oh Lord, this morning. Open my eyes, open my heart to receive it. And let me not leave here empty-handed, oh Lord. If you are blessing a family, let it be my family this morning. If you are blessing a soul, let it be my soul. Let me not leave here empty-handed, oh Lord. Thank you, Father. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. And so our Redeemer, we just want to bless you this morning. We give you all glory. We give you honor, adoration. Thank you for what you have done in our lives at the beginning of this year. We bless you for January. Thank you for February. Thank you for March. Thank you for April. Thank you for May. Thank you for what you have planned even to do in this month of June. Thank you because that thing that the eyes have not seen, what the ears have not heard, what has not come to the heart of man, that you have promised to do for us. We pray, oh Lord, we receive all this with thanksgiving in the mighty name of Jesus. In this service today, oh Lord, do what you alone can do. We will refuse to leave here empty-handed. Daddy, bless us in your word. Fill your son, oh Lord, to the brim this morning. And at the end of everything, Lord, your name alone will be glorified. In Jesus' mighty name we pray.
Amen.
And the church will say better.
Amen.
Good morning, church. We, the Grace Sanctuary Choir, have a special number to present today. As you listen, may you be blessed.
Summer, winter, autumn, spring, mountains, blue skies, and the seas, rainbows, sunshine, and the trees. Jesus, maker of them all. Summer, winter, autumn, spring, mountains, blue skies, and the sea, rainbows, rainbows, sunshine, and the trees. Jesus, maker of them all. Everywhere I go, I see you right there in the beauty of nature. You shine all around, for you are everything. Everything is you, precious Jesus, so wonderful wonder you are. Oh, 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 morning, noontime, and the night. Voices, rhythm, melody. People, places, everything. Jesus, maker of them all. Everywhere I go, I see you right there. In the beauty of nature, you shine all around. You are everything, and everything is you. Precious Jesus, so wonderful wonder you are. Oh, 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 you're amazing. Oh, you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, you're amazing. You amaze me. Oh, you amaze me. You're amazing. Oh, you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, you're amazing. Oh, you amaze me. Oh, you amaze me. Oh, you're wonderful. Oh, you're wonderful. Oh, you're amazing. Oh, you're amazing. Oh, you're wonderful. Oh, you're amazing. Everywhere I go, I see you right there. In the beauty of nature, you shine all around. You are everything, everything is you. Precious Jesus, so wonderful wonder you are. Oh, 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 summer, winter, autumn, spring, Jesus, maker of them all.
Praise the Lord. Let's rise upon our feet as we are going to bless this God one more time. Jehovah, we praise you. Jehovah, Jehovah, we praise you. We praise your name. We praise your name. Jehovah, we praise you. Adonai, Adonai, we worship you. We worship you. Son of God. Son of God. You are so good. You are so good. Almighty God. Hallowed be your name. Your name. Your dominion is forevermore. Adonai, Adonai, Adonai. We worship you. Son of God. You are so good. Almighty God. Hallowed be your name. Your name. Your dominion is forevermore. I will praise you from everlasting, everlasting to everlasting. I will praise you from everlasting, everlasting to I will praise him from everlasting, everlasting to everlasting. I will praise him
From everlasting,
everlasting to everlasting. I will praise you from everlasting, everlasting to everlasting. Father in heaven, we thank you. Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Nissi, Jehovah El Shaddai, we bless your holy name. The Almighty Father who has the key that can open and can shut, we bless your name. We thank you because you are the Father of life. We thank you because you are a God that never put your own even to shame. We bless you because you reign in the affairs of men. Father in heaven, we say thank you. We thank you, Father, for the gift of life. We thank you for the gift of sleeping and waking up. We thank you for all the good things that have been doing in the life of your children. We thank you, Lord, Father, for your children that God wedded yesterday. King of glory, we say thank you. We thank you, Lord, Father, because you took absolute control even of everything. I am that I am, we say thank you. Be the accepted, Father, in the mighty name of Jesus. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your goodness. We thank you for your power. We thank you for your love. We thank you because we know that you are a God that never fails. And I pray, King of glory, that you touch everyone here today in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, you will build everyone in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, you will raise up everyone in the mighty name of Jesus. Whosoever is weak in the mind, whosoever that is weak in faith, whosoever that is weak in any area, Father, you will strengthen them today in the mighty name of Jesus. As your word be coming forth, Father, I pray that you endue your word with power from above in the mighty name of Jesus. No one under the sound of my word today, Lord Father, we go empty-handed. Father, we shall bless them richly even from the words in the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you, Lord Father, because you are a prayer answering God. We give you glory, we give you honor. For in Jesus' mighty name we are praying. In Jesus' mighty name we are praying. Amen. Praise the Lord. We bless God for what he did yesterday. We thank him for what he is doing right now, and we thank him for what he is still going to do. Glory be to the name of God in heaven. Praise the Lord. Today, before we go into wedding Thanksgiving, I want us to quickly consider the Word of God. Let's turn our Bible to the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 22. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, and I'm going to read verse 34. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 34. The scripture says, He maketh my feet like hinds' feet, and setteth me upon high places. New King James Version says, He makes my feet like the feet of deer, and set me on my high places. Our God is a God of love. His promises are always yea and amen. There is nothing soever that we have that he has not provided for us. It is only a fool that wake up in the morning and have the thought in himself that he woke up by himself, by not giving appreciation to one who has the key to life and death. When God made death pronouncement on anybody, there's nothing anybody can do. That is why that king Hezekiah, when he got, the alert that he's going to die, what did he do? He ran to the one that has the key. He began to praise him. I began to tell God the reason why he should not die at that particular time. And what did God do? God decided to change his mind. What am I saying, brethren? Our God is a God. There's nothing that we have that he has not provided for us. We give all glory unto him. So if God now says He will set you upon your high places, according to what we read in 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 34. He really meant it. And this shall be your portion this season in the mighty name of Jesus. Do you know somebody that walk in his high places? It will come to pass if that person, actually walk with God. Our theme for this month is walking with God, walking with the Almighty. As you walk with God this month, I say that you will not be put to shame. You shall not be disappointed in any area of your life in the mighty name of Jesus. But somebody will not be asking, Pastor, you say we should walk with God. Is God man that I have to go and say, okay, God, you are my friend, let's be walking, hand in hand, we just be walking together like that? It might not be so because God is spirit. You cannot see him. I cannot see him. Praise the Lord. But there are things that you do that will show that you are walking with God. What are those things that God expects you to do in order to say to do what? That you walk with him. How do you walk with God? I'm going to give you 4 points briefly from the scripture because we have a long way to go today. Praise the Lord. Turn your Bible with me to the book of James chapter 1. How do you walk with God? The first one we are going to consider is walk in faith. Walk in faith. So turn your Bible with me to the book of James chapter 1. I'm going to read from verses 5 to 8. James chapter 1, I'll be reading from verses 5 to 8. He says, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. Verse 6. He said, but let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. Why? Because a double-minded can never be stable. A double-minded person is unstable in all his ways. What am I saying, brethren? God is spirit. And those that must worship him must do so in spirit and in truth. The Bible says, without faith, it is impossible to please the Lord, because they that come to God must believe that he exists and that he is a rewarder of they that diligently seek him. Faith will make you have trust in God. If you don't have faith in something, you cannot trust it. That is the reality. It is when you have faith in God that you trust in the Lord. And when you trust in God, it is then that things can begin to happen in your life. Let me put it this way. If you don't have faith that God exists, how can you walk with somebody that you don't believe that he exists? It is when you believe that God exists. You have the faith that God exists. Although you cannot see him, you believe. Although you cannot feel him, you believe. Although you cannot touch him, you believe. Praise the Lord. That is faith. You have the faith that God exists. And that God, the faith you have, you believe that as you are walking, God is walking with you. You have that faith that as you are going, God is backing you up. Praise the Lord. That's what we call walking in faith. When you walk in faith, it means that you believe that God is right beside you. God will be right beside you, walking with you in the mighty name of Jesus. That is why King Solomon, he challenged us, he encouraged us in the book of Proverbs. Turn the Bible to the book of Proverbs, chapter 3. I'm going to read from verses 5 to 8. Proverbs, chapter 3. I'll be reading from verses 5 to 8. The scripture says, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. Don't put your trust in yourself. The scripture is saying you put your trust in whom? In God. He said, in all thy ways, acknowledge him. You need to acknowledge God in everything, in all things. You need to acknowledge him. Praise the Lord. And when you acknowledge him, the scripture says, he shall direct your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. How do you walk with God? Number one, walk in faith. Another one, walk in love. Turn your Bible with me to the book of Ephesians chapter 5. The book of Ephesians chapter 5. I'm going to read verses 1 to 7. Ephesians chapter 5, I'll be reading from verses 1 to 7. Be ye therefore followers of God as dear children, and walk in love, as Christ also has loved us, and had given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet-smelling savor. He said, but fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becometh saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. For this ye know that no warmonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man who is an idolater, hath any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God. Let no man deceive you with vain word, for because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience. Be not ye therefore partakers of them. What am I saying, brethren? The scripture is encouraging us from where I've just read that we need to walk in love. Why? God himself is love. Anyone that must walk with God must walk in love. It is essential to love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your spirit. When you love God, you will not be disobedient unto God. And God is saying too that you need to love your neighbor, you need to love other brethren, you need to love other people. When you love others, you will not want to do something that will hurt them. You will not want to do something that will make them sad. You will not want to do something that will make them begin to think that, oh, this is too much. Maybe I have to go and kill myself. You need to do things in a way that will make others feel loved. And God of heaven will help you as you do so in the mighty name of Jesus. What am I saying? If you want to walk with God, you need to walk in love. As you walk in love, God of heaven will walk with you. And when God walks with you, you are going to see the benefit. The benefit will show forth. Why? Because the glory of God will be seen in you. The glory of God shall be manifested upon you in the mighty name of Jesus. How do you walk with God? Number one, walk in faith. Number two, walk in love. Number three, walk as children of light. Walk as children of light. What am I saying? There are children of darkness. And somebody will now be saying, who are the children of darkness? Turn your Bible with me to the book of Ephesians chapter 5. Let's read from verses 8. Let's start reading from verse 8. You see it by yourself. That's what the scripture says. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 8. It said, for ye were sometimes darkness. In other words, before you knew Christ, you were in where? Darkness. So those who are out there that are yet to know Christ, they are aware. They are in darkness. They are children of darkness. Unless they come into the light, then they become the children of light. Praise the Lord. For ye were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is acceptable unto the Lord. Take note, verse 11. It says, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. As children of light, you need to rebuke or reproof every unfruitful works of darkness. You will not embrace them. If you see anybody who say he is a children of light and still embrace the unfruitful works of darkness, put a question mark in front of that claim. Walk as children of light. Our God is a God of light, in whom there is no darkness. There is no iota of darkness in God. And for someone who is going to walk with this God, you need to walk as children of light, because God is light. Darkness cannot be walking with him. That is why the scripture is even encouraging us that as children of light in this world, we need to lighten the world. We need to lighten the darkness, the dark areas of this world. When anybody see you in your place of work, in your school, wherever you are found, you are supposed to bring light there. And when you bring light, God will be happy, because God will always be there walking with you. Praise the Lord. How do you walk with God? Number one, walk in faith. Number two, walk in love. Number three, walk as children of light. Number four, which is very, very important. Number four, walk not as fools. Walk not as fools. It means there are fools, there are wise. Or what is the opposite of wise? Praise the Lord. If somebody is not wise, then he is a what? Talk now. You all agree? Anybody that is not wise is a what? Ephesians chapter 5. Let's read from verses 15 to 17. Ephesians chapter 5 from verses 15 to 17. He says, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Procrastinators, they are not wise. They begin to procrastinate. One area where some people procrastinate is they will tell you, I will give my life to Christ tomorrow. God is telling you that this habit of yours, you need to drop it. Then they will begin to say, I will drop it tomorrow. As if they are the owner of tomorrow. As if they can extend the number of days they're supposed to spend on this life by one second. They begin to procrastinate. They say, I will do it tomorrow. Who is the owner of tomorrow? They begin to talk as if they are the owner of tomorrow. That is why they are called what? Fools. That's why they are called fools. The Bible says here, it says, redeem the time, because the days are evil. It says, wherefore, be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. You need to understand what God wants. It's like, let me put it this way. Can two work together except they agree? If you want to work with God, you've got to have an agreement with God. If you don't agree with God, how can you work with somebody you don't agree with? Praise the Lord. Thank God for Brother Joseph and Sister Fumbi. They are in an agreement. They believe they are compatible in no ramifications. That is why yesterday they they said, I do. Praise the Lord. That is why Sister Fumbi said, I agree. I'm going to spend the rest of my life with Brother Joseph. That's why Brother Joseph said, I leave my father, my sibling, my parents. I'm going to cleave unto Sister Fumbi, and we are going to be one. We are no more going to be two. Whenever anybody sees us, they see only one person. Praise the Lord. That's what we call agreement. They agree to work together. So also, someone who is wise will be ready to forsake all other things and walk with God. The Bible says, wisdom is the principal thing. It said, therefore, get wisdom. In all that getting, get understanding. The wisdom we are talking about is not the worldly wisdom, but the divine wisdom. God of heaven will grant unto you in the mighty name of Jesus. But where I'm going is this, brethren. When you walk with God, it is then that God will make you walk in your high places. Let's go back to Ephesians, 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 34. 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 34. He said, He maketh my feet like hinds feet, and setteth me upon my high places. What am I saying, brethren? It is when you walk with God that He will make you to walk in high places that God of heaven is talking here. Then somebody will now be asking me, what does it mean to walk in your high places? We quickly discuss that and we pray. Praise the Lord. For the children of God, there are always higher places for God to take us to in life. No matter how high He has taken anyone before, there is still a higher place still that God can take that person to. No matter the position you occupy now, there is still a higher position. Praise the Lord. This is both unique and always the case with God, because it is only God who has no limit with regards to anything He is set out to do. Somebody will aspire to be something today, and then tomorrow he aspires to be something else. When he get that thing, it's no more, that one is, because every position you find yourself, you will still see that there is higher places. That is why King David, he understands the scripture very well. He understands God very well. He knows that the position we are in is right now is not the bus stop. Tell your neighbor, say neighbor. Say neighbor. Where I am right now is not my bus stop. There are still higher places to go. And I must get there in the mighty name of Jesus. You will get there in the mighty name of Jesus. I say you will get there in the mighty name of Jesus. David seems to be a perfect example for demonstrating the reality, of God. You know that right from the day the hand of God came upon him, that is, when it was chosen among his siblings in his father's house and anointed by Prophet Samuel to be the king, in Israel, David kept on going. He kept on moving high and high. He kept on moving from one high place to another until he even became the king. Even then, when he became king, you will know that if you know the story very well, the king is in two sequences. He first of all became king over Hebron for about 7 years before God lifted him higher, and now became king all over Israel. What am I saying, brethren? David continued to go higher and deeper in his spiritual walk with God. What of you? Where you are in the body of Christ is not your bus stop. Where you are in your secular work is not your bus stop. Where you are, even in your family, it's not your bus stop. God still has a higher place to take you, and He will take you there in the mighty name of Jesus. If you remember the story of Joseph, Joseph was a small boy. Oh, somebody will think that because the father loved him and he gave him a coat of several colors, right? And then, if Joseph now thinks that is his bus stop, that was a mistake. He knew that where God is taking him to is more than that. The brethren, what they saw was just the love of the father alone and that coat. And they said that the boy, and he used to dream. They thought that was his bus stop. They thought they can kill where God is taking him to. But God never allowed that to happen. When he was taken to the Potiphar's house, he became the chief slave officer. Somebody will think that is a high place. But Joseph never saw himself as chief slave. He saw himself in a higher realm, more than that. Praise the Lord. What happened? We know the rest of the story. He became the prime minister of the land. I pray that God will help you. You will get to where God wants to take you in the mighty name of Jesus. I say God will take you to where He needed to take you in the mighty name of Jesus. I think a word is enough for the wise. I want us to pray because of our time. I want us to pray. I want you to rise upon your feet. I want you to rise upon your feet. The title of my message today is Walking in New Realm. Walking in New Realm. And how you have been walking before, that is the hold. You will begin to walk in new realm if as you leave this place this afternoon in the mighty name of Jesus. I want you to pray. I have 3 prayer points for you that you are going to pray for yourself. And if you remember, we say for someone that is going to walk with God, you need to walk in faith. You need to walk in love. You need to walk as children of light, and you need to walk as wise. You don't walk as fools. And if you have faith in God, you will pray fervently unto this God, and you believe that it's going to happen. That is every pronouncement you make is going to come into realization, and that shall be so in the mighty name of Jesus. So you are going to pray. You are going to say, Father, the power to come out of every wilderness of life, release upon me in this day in the mighty name of Jesus. The power to come out from every wilderness of life, Father, release upon me in the mighty name of Jesus. David was in the wilderness. He was in the wilderness when war is going on. God brought him from that wilderness to go to the war front. And God promoted him. What King Saul could not do, what the brother of David could not do, God used him to do it. And what was he able to do? He killed the Goliath. So you are going to pray that, Father, the power to come out from every wilderness of life, hey, Father, release upon me in the mighty name of Jesus. Release upon me in the mighty name of Jesus. Release upon me in the mighty name of Jesus. Release upon me in the mighty name of Jesus. Release upon me in the mighty name of Jesus. Release upon me in the mighty name of Jesus. For in Jesus' mighty name we pray. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Turn your Bible with me to the book of Isaiah chapter 45. Isaiah 45. Isaiah 45. I'm going to read verse 1. He said, thus swear the Lord to his anointed, the Cyrus, whose right hand I have holding, to subdue nations before him. And I will loose the loins of kings, to open before him the 2-leaved gates, and the gates shall not be shut. You are going to shout loud and clear. You are going to say, Father, every door that is shut against my advancement, let them begin to open right now. In the mighty name of Jesus. Every door that is shut against my advancement, every door that is shut against my good health, every door that is shut against my victory, every door that is shut against my moving forward, every door that is shut against my advancement, every door that is shut against my promotion, Father, let them begin to open now. In the mighty name of Jesus. Every door that has been shut against my goodness, every door that has been shut against my breakthrough in life, Father, let them begin to open right now. Let them begin to open. Let them begin to open. Let them begin to open. In the mighty name of Jesus. Let them begin to open. In the mighty name of Jesus. Let them begin to open. In the mighty name of Jesus. Every door that has been shut against my progress, Father, let them begin to open. Let them begin to open. In the mighty name of Jesus. For in Jesus' mighty name we pray. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. I'm going to read from Isaiah chapter 58. Isaiah 58. I'm going to read verse 11. Isaiah 58 verse 11. It says, and the Lord shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones, and thou shalt be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water, whose waters fail not. You are going to shout loud and clear once again. You are going to say, my Father, my Father. Say, my Father, my Father. Turn every desert in my life into a watered garden. In the mighty name of Jesus. Every desert in my life, Father, turn them into watered garden. In the mighty name of Jesus. Heavenly Father, King of glory, the I am that is I am. I pray, Father, that you turn every desert in my life into a watered garden in the mighty name of Jesus. Anything that represents desert in my life, Father, turn it into a watered garden. In the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you, Lord, for that, because I pray answering God. For in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Father in heaven, we thank you. I am that I am, we thank you. I bless your name, Lord, Father, because I know that you are taking your children even into a new realm. Father, I pray that in any area that your children have not been walking in faith before, help them. As from today, they begin to walk in faith. In the mighty name of Jesus. As many of them that have not been walking in love, Lord, Father, Lord, I pray, they begin to walk in love, even from now on, in the mighty name of Jesus. They will begin to walk as children of light, in the mighty name of Jesus. None of them will be declared a fool, but they shall be wise in all their dealings, in the mighty name of Jesus. And because they will walk with you, Father, I pray, you will take them to their higher places in the mighty name of Jesus. You will take them to higher places in the mighty name of Jesus. Every door of advancement that are shut against any of them, Father, let them begin to open from now on in the mighty name of Jesus. Every door of success, every door of victory, every door of breakthrough, every door of good health, Lord, Father, that are shut against any of them, let them begin to open right now in the mighty name of Jesus. I pray, Father, that your children are here this hour, looking unto you for that which you will do in their life. That is why I'm committing them unto you, that every pronouncement, every of your promises will come into reality in their life in the mighty name of Jesus. Because we know that your promises are yea and amen. And your children are putting their trust in you. I pray, Father, you will not put them to shame in the mighty name of Jesus. They shall not be ashamed in the mighty name of Jesus. King of glory, I pray. Is there any desert in the life of any of this one? Mighty name, we are praying. And the living soul shall shout a bigger amen.
Church, please, let's stretch forth our hands towards the man of God and let us begin to pray for him. Let us pray that all the days of his life he will walk with God. Any desert in his life, that God will turn it into a watered garden in the name of Jesus. Any area of his life that he has a closed door, that the door is shut against his progress, his health, his marriage, his ministry, that by the virtue of today's word that came from God, that they will all be opened by the power of God in the name of Jesus, that in all areas of his life will be watered from the garden of heaven. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Praise Master Jesus. Hallelujah. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's do our usual stuff, please. Let's go around and greet our neighbor. We're going to do two things. Number one, tell your neighbor, walk with God, and God will set you up in your high places. And you're going to tell Bro Joseph and Sister Fumbi, congratulations. Two of them. Tell your neighbor, walk with God, and God will set you upon your high places. And reach out to our newest couple in town. Tell them congratulations. Bro Joseph, I said they will reach out to you. You will walk with God, and God will set you up upon your high places. Bro Joseph, Sister Fumbi, congratulations. Praise the Lord. Do we have anyone that is worshiping with us for the first time? If today is your first time in Grace Sanctuary, could you please signify by raising up your hand, please. Thank you so much, Daddy. Thank you so much, Mommy. Please, church, put a hand together for our Lord Jesus Christ.
You are welcome to Grace Sanctuary.
Please, let us go to them and then give them a very warm
Grace
handshake of welcome. Daddy, please, could you just be upon your feet, please? Thank you so much. Thank you. Church, please, let's go and welcome them again.
In Jesus' name, you are welcome. You are welcome to Grace Sanctuary. You are welcome to Grace Sanctuary. We enjoy God's love and abundance of His grace. You are welcome in Jesus' name. You are welcome. You are welcome to Grace Sanctuary. You are welcome to Grace Sanctuary. We enjoy God's love and abundance of His grace.
You are welcome in Jesus' name. Praise the Lord. Praise Master Jesus. Our daddies and our mommy, we thank God Almighty that brought you into our presence today. It is not an accident. There is a reason why God has brought you here today. This is called Grace Sanctuary. And we believe here is the solution ground. Joseph is a witness. He found favor in the house of the Lord in this sanctuary. So we are so excited to have you in our midst today, and we pray that on your way back, God will lead you home safely in the mighty name of Jesus. That because you've stepped your foot in this sanctuary today, there will be a change in your life in the mighty name of Jesus. Church, please stretch forth your hands and just say a word of prayer into their life. That anything they are believing God for, anything, whatever it is, because of today they have come into our midst, we are joining our faith together, that God will settle those for them in the name of Jesus. That as they walk in with God all the days of their life, that God will set their feet on a higher ground in the name of Jesus. And so shall it be. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Praise the Lord. Please, you can have your seat, please. After the church service, some people will come to welcome you in our special way. Thank you so much. Please, church, put our hands together again for our Lord Jesus Christ. So we thank God for the successful wedding